Hello. Hello to all APSCA member firms, member auditors, supporting brands and retailers, supporting collaborative programs, and all other interested stakeholders. I hope your 2024 is off to a great start and you are excited for the year ahead. I know we at APSCA are, and if you're listening to this recording, then that tells me that you're interested in being on the APSCA 2.0 journey with us. We're glad you're here and hope you're ready for an engaging year ahead together. A new communication tool going forward will be this, a recorded message from me each quarter. The aim of these recordings will be to share details of how APSCA's 2030 strategy is being implemented and keep you updated on our way. Before we move into unpacking the 2030 strategy and our operational plans for 2024, there are a few announcements and housekeeping matters I'd like to cover. First, some great news. I want to welcome our newest member firms and newest member auditors. New provisional members announced this last quarter. Please welcome ASCP Services in China, iLink in India, Leadership Advantage in Germany, RSJ Inspection Services in India, and MXNS in Australia. 5 new provisional members. Thank you for being a part of APSCA. And since October 1st, we've enrolled 146 new member auditors from 36 countries. We have 7 more in Italy, 6 in Pakistan, 20 in India, and 36 more in China. Everywhere from Zimbabwe, Ukraine, Romania, Moldova, Netherlands, Guatemala, Ecuador, Dominican Republic, Belgium, Albania, and more. I look forward to seeing you all progress along the APSCA journey and see you all becoming CSCAs in the months ahead. This really shows the growth of APSCA's global community. 5 new provisional members and 146 new member auditors just in the last quarter. Absolutely fantastic. Moving now on to another recent development in the profession. Some of you may have read or heard about an article in the New York Times published on December 28th that scrutinized the social compliance auditing industry in the United States. The article raised a number of issues regarding the professionalism and credibility of our industry. In light of this article, APSCA took immediate action and led several conversations with stakeholders, parties mentioned in the article, and many APSCA supporters to both fact-check and discuss concerns. APSCA submitted a letter to the editor as we felt that the article was not balanced in its reporting of the challenges in the industry. And since the article, I have personally spoken with the journalist in an effort to expand her appreciation for the complexities of the ecosystem of social compliance auditing. My conversation with the journalist was about the reasons for APSCA and why it was created, to help strengthen social compliance auditing by setting a minimum competency standard for individual social compliance auditors and advancing a code of ethics among audit firms and individual auditors. Beyond what I had discussed with the journalists, I wanted to also address with you all APSCA's view of several ethical violations highlighted in the article, concerns regarding breach of confidentiality, record-keeping requirements, and the lapse in reporting concerns to firm management and APSCA for first line of support. APSCA, its members, stakeholders, and the entire profession are deeply concerned about the breach of confidentiality by some individuals interviewed. These breaches violate APSCA's code and standards of professional conduct, the confidentiality agreements established between auditors and their firms, as well as the non-disclosure or confidentiality agreements between firms and their clients. At the heart of our profession are 2 fundamental pillars, ethics and trust. Trust is paramount. Trust that issues are thoroughly investigated, trust that workers sharing information with auditors are protected, trust that reported issues will be remediated, and trust that the details of audit findings remain confidential among the factory, auditor, audit firm, and client. This trust is the cornerstone holding the credibility and effectiveness of our profession intact. and ethics is another fundamental pillar. Proper ethical practices provide processes to uphold trust and integrity in each step of the social compliance audit process. Auditors are provided resources to report concerns through the proper channels at their firms, with clients, with audit programs and schemes, and with APSCA. And APSCA remains committed to reviewing all reported concerns. These resources are in place to help maintain confidential information while ensuring integrity and support for the auditor's ability to identify all audit findings and red flags for each audit scenario with a high level of quality and competency each and every time. In upcoming member clinics in March, best practices related to confidentiality will be discussed. Likewise, in auditor workshops later in the year, this topic will also be covered at great length. Upholding confidentiality is essential for maintaining the integrity of our profession and fostering a trust-based environment. Okay, now on to the 2024 operational plan and what's on the horizon. My aim for APSCA in 2024 is to accelerate adoption by instilling credibility and broadening awareness. The core of APSCA is the exam certification process coupled with our ethics and compliance expectations and protocols. So with both, we will be increasing resources and finding ways to strengthen these functions, as well as improving transparency to our members, stakeholders, and supporters. Equally important is broadening the global awareness of APSCA, its role in the ecosystem of social compliance auditing, and being more vocal about who we are and why we matter. So stakeholder engagement of current members and stakeholders and prospective members and supporters is also a focus for 2024. Lastly, as the Association of Professional Social Compliance Auditors, pulling that stakeholders' thoughts into our decision-making process will also be a priority this year. Before we move into the specifics of the draft operational plan, let's start by looking at the current org chart, as there has been a few changes and not yet reflected on our website. After digging in with the team to better understand existing capabilities and operational needs, a few new hires were quickly acted on. New to the exam team are two newly created positions, Director of Exams and Manager, CPD and Exams. These roles will be leading all things related to exam content, exam efficiency, exam feedback, and CPD requirements. The two individuals joining our team for these roles bring over 35 years of social compliance auditing experience and background in not just auditing, but also auditor training, quality control, and policy development and implementation. As you'll see when we go through the draft operational plan, these two roles will be very busy working to further strengthen APSCA's exam effectiveness and efficiency. We are very excited to have Cara Chan and Ann Karen joining the team. I have known Cara and Ann and worked with both of them over the course of my career, and in just their first month on the job, they have already made a significant impact to our operations. A third new position has also been added to the org structure, Director of Stakeholder Engagement. This position will work closely with me to execute several initiatives aimed at strengthening engagement with existing members, as well as bringing in new members and supporters. This includes promoting the profession to prospective future auditors to support in the building a pipeline of CSCAs. This addition to the team, who will be joining us in March, also brings 2 decades of social compliance experience, having worked for audit firms, brands, as well as government agencies. This position will be starting in March, and I look forward to updating you with that announcement then. Okay, now let's take a peek at that draft operational plan. Now keep in mind that this is a draft based on my initial 100 days of listening and learning, and so it is a work in progress. That said, the Executive Board and the Stakeholder Advisory Board have already provided their input, and we are aligned on the priorities for the year. The next step is to take this draft and develop specific tactics, milestones, and metrics. That work will take place over the month of February, and we will present the final operational plan to the Executive Board in March. Moving forward, I will update with quarterly updates on the team's progress in implementing this plan. The plan is structured to support what's been agreed to in APSCA's 2030 strategy. And as we go through it, you'll see that some action items may be duplicated within sections as some pertain to more than one strategic pillar. Those strategic pillars being professionalism, future-proofing, and identity. The key objective, again, for this year is to accelerate adoption by instilling credibility and broadening awareness. So let's get started. The first strategic pillar, professionalism. In 2024, to support the strategic goals of strengthening the firm application and ongoing member firm oversight processes, we will be revisiting the application process to identify opportunities to not only strengthen, but also streamline the process. It currently can take a year or more for new member firms to become full members. This is far too long. We also want to further explore opportunities to coordinate, streamline, and enhance the oversight of member firms in collaboration with the collaborative programs that we have working with us. We currently have memorandums of understanding with 10 collaborative programs. SLCP and their Verification Oversight Organization, SAMERA, SAI, FSSC, RBA, SEDEX, ICTY, EFI, ICS, RAP, and M4E. And others are in the process of being added to our collaborative program working group. The second goal here is to improve efficiency with our disciplinary processes. To support this goal, we have recently launched a pilot process of a disciplinary review committee to fast-track non-egregious member auditor cases. This is just one action being piloted to streamline our ethics and compliance processes. From this pilot, we anticipate also developing a disciplinary review committee for non-egregious member firm cases as well. Additionally, we will be enhancing our ability to validate the data reported by firms for their monthly and quarterly reporting. This will require collaboration with brands and retailers and collaborative programs, again covered by MOUs and NDAs. The next objective of the professionalism strategic pillar is focused on being an association of and for social compliance auditors. The 2030 strategy includes several goals for this. Implement a forum for auditors to share learnings and discuss challenges, and/or the establishment of a CSCA council, which could lead to representation on the Stakeholder Advisory Board and/or the Board of Directors. We will start with surveys, one to our CSCAs and another to our ASCAs. These will be emailed directly to our member auditors, so please keep a watch out for them. The CSCA survey has actually already been sent out. The ASCA survey will be coming out shortly. From there, we will be determining the best path forward for more engagement with member auditors, such as perhaps holding auditor workshops and working toward auditor representation on our boards. But this will take time. Imagine the infrastructure and resources needed to involve the input from over 5,000 auditors. But we are determined and committed to creating a structure that allows for engagement, inclusion, and fair representation. Another goal in this section of our 2030 strategy is to consider how best to include internal auditors of organizations to join APSCA. We're calling this potential membership path affiliate organization. The Stakeholder Advisory Board will be working with other interested stakeholders to determine what and how this potential membership path could be structured. Another goal is the establishment of more and better ways for members and stakeholders to influence the profession through feedback sessions and sharing of best practices. Being actioned in Q1 are member firm clinics, and in Q2, member auditor workshops, and the establishment of working groups and task forces to get more input on matters like the affiliate organization membership path, enhancing the exam, and working collaboratively with stakeholders on increasing the pipeline of social compliance auditors and helping them through the exam process. Next, still within the strategic pillar of professionalism, is the objective to review the governance and oversight of APSCA's governing boards and committees with additional goals for open and transparent financial communication and increasing revenue to enable growth through external engagement, communication, and other offerings for members. After consultation with members in 2023, the Executive Board made the decision to transition from an Executive Board responsible for decision-making and operational management to a Board of Directors focused on governance, responsible for setting organizational strategy, providing oversight, and ensuring compliance with legal and ethical obligations. Along with this shift to a governance board, the decision was also made to reallocate the seats that make up the new Board of Directors, thereby strengthening the organization's governance structure and promoting long-term sustainability. To do this, a new nomination and election process will commence in late Q1 and be completed in Q2 of 2024. The new Board of Directors will better represent a balanced perspective of members and stakeholders, with 4 seats coming from member firm representation and 4 seats coming from the Stakeholder Advisory Board. Member firm seats will consist of 1 seat for A firms, 1 seat for B firms, 1 seat for C firms, and 1 seat at large. The nominees for the category-specific seats will come from those categories and be voted on by members of that category, while the at-large seat nominees can come from any of those 3 categories and will be voted on by all members, with the votes being weighted by category based on the market proportions of the categories. Stakeholder Advisory Board seats will consist of 1 seat for brands and retailers, 1 seat for collaborative programs, 1 seat for independents, and 1 seat at large. That is, open to anyone on the Stakeholder Advisory Board, regardless of which caucus they hail from, brands or retailers, collaborative programs, or independents. These seats will be determined by the Stakeholder Advisory Board. The nomination process for the firms will begin in February, and respective category elections for the firms will take place in April. Likewise, for the Stakeholder Advisory Board seats, the nomination process will commence in February, and their deliberations and final nominations will be determined in April. Moving on now to the next strategic pillar, future-proofing. The objective here is to increase market adoption as well as capacity levels. In addition to the Auditor Capacity Task Force that was already covered, we will be tailoring communications for different audiences to increase market and membership awareness of APSCA's progress. We will also explore new collaborations with organizations with the aim to further enhance the credibility as well as the benefit and value of APSCA's role in the industry. The next objective for future-proofing is focused on enhancing the efficiency and the effectiveness of the exam process for ensuring knowledge, skills, and competencies of member auditors. As mentioned earlier, to lead all efforts in this regard, we've hired a director of exams who will be responsible for executing many tactics, including routine calibration of interviewers and at exams, enhancing the exam process, establishing a technical review committee, and bringing on more interviewers and translators, among other things, such as improved exam preparation guidance and exam feedback. You'll start to see some improvements already and more quickly to come in Q1. We are onboarding new interviewers and will continue to recruit for key languages. We are onboarding dedicated translators with specialized training to improve their understanding of the exam scenarios. We are already offering CPD hours for CSCAs, helping ASCAs to prepare for the exam. We're in the process of improving feedback for the Part 3 exam, and additional training and support is now required for scheduling Part 3 if already taken more than 3 times. The exam is not easy, but it's also not impossible. Our data indicates that over 50% of test takers pass Phase 3 the first time, 86% after the second attempt, and 92% are able to pass Part 3 within the first 3 attempts. If you are one of the 8%, the training and the preparation that you've done isn't enough, or it isn't preparing you in the right ways. We are here to help you determine what you might need more of or need differently. Just last week, we received an email from a test taker who had failed Part 3, but after reaching out and engaging with the exam team to understand how they should better prepare, they passed. And I quote, "I am writing to express my sincere gratitude for your exceptional guidance and unwavering support during my preparation for the APSCA Part 3 examination. This achievement would not have been possible without your expert guidance, insightful teachings, and continuous support. If you have taken exam Part 3 more than 3 times, please reach out so that we can help ensure you're preparing in the best possible ways." The next objective and goal for future proofing is also connected to the workstream of the exam team. Identifying and incorporating emerging trends more deliberately and methodically into our exam process and CPD requirements. Specific tactics for how that will move forward is still to be determined, and we'll have more to share on that in the next update. And lastly, within the future proofing pillar, our efforts to support the objective of enhancing the user experience for members and stakeholders through improved business practices. This will include efforts with respect to our data systems, our website, and overall business processes, such as the onboarding process for new member auditors and new member audit firms, and also with respect to the CPD training requirements. Now on to the third and final pillar of the 2030 strategy, identity. Our communications team will be very busy in the coming year as we implement an in-depth communication plan and communication tools. One aim is for all members and supporting stakeholders to be equipped with aligned talking points for reinforcing the positive and critical role that APSCA plays in ensuring the professionalism, consistency, and credibility of social compliance auditing. We will also be more proactive in external communications, speaking opportunities, and thought leadership. The objective here is to expand APSCA's influence in the ongoing effectiveness of the industry. In that regard, our hope for the annual meeting of members and stakeholders is for it to become the premier conference for the promotion of the profession and further enhancement of the industry. So look forward to an even bigger and better AMM later this year. The final objective of the 2030 strategy is to build awareness across the profession, the industry, and society at large. As you look at the goals for this section, much of this has already been incorporated into other sections of the operational plan, providing members and partners with opportunities to influence and develop the work of APSCA, the incorporation of emerging issues into our work, publishing aligned talking points, enhancing the website, and having a communications plan customized for different audiences using a variety of communication channels. Additionally, related to this objective will be proactive and enhanced engagement of non-governmental organizations and regulatory influencing institutions, such as the ILO, the OECD, the IOE, and more. To support a working group of the Stakeholder Advisory Board, we will have additional resources of an intern this summer to work with our collaborative programs and supporting brands and retailers on compiling quantitative and maybe qualitative data for demonstrating the value of APSCA audits. This will be instrumental in strengthening our aligned talking points and communication messages. That covers what APSCA will be doing in the coming year, which includes much collaboration and engagement with members and supporting stakeholders. But for the 2024 plan and the 2030 strategy to really truly succeed, We need all members and supporters to play their part in ensuring the success of APSCA. As members and supporters of APSCA, your role is to be a positive force for ongoing professionalism and integrity. This starts first with actions and behaviors. Upholding APSCA's code and standards of professional conduct. First and foremost is operating with integrity and full transparency. Actions speak louder than words. You've all committed to the words within our code. Be sure your actions are true to those words. And full transparency is critical for us to address the pain points and make improvements together. APSCA's disciplinary approach sets a clear boundary between non-compliant record keeping and purposeful or fraudulent reporting. Any intentional violation of ethical standards, misrepresentation, or fraudulent activity will not be tolerated. Such behaviors undermine the professional standards across the industry, which APSCA strives to uphold. Lastly, as members and supporters of APSCA, your vocal support of our vision and mission is expected. We are not perfect, but as outlined here today, there is an immense amount of dedication and effort going into making things better to increase the value and effectiveness of social compliance auditing and to enhance the professionalism, consistency, and credibility of individuals and organizations performing them. So please support us in our endeavors and promote your support as members. Now that said, I know that we may not always see eye to eye on everything. And when that happens, there are many ways for you to provide input. Constructive feedback is always welcome and will always be honored and listened to when done so respectfully and honestly. We covered a lot of topics today. I've talked about our new member firms and new member auditors. Welcome again. I've talked about global issues in the profession and how we are committed to building ethics and trust. And I've walked you through our draft 2024 operational plan aimed at implementing the 2030 strategy. I know there is a lot to digest here, and I am grateful for your time in listening. Please reach out if you have any questions. I very much look forward to seeing your active engagement as members and supporters on the APSCA 2.0 journey. Thank you.